welcome back to another episode of Build with a Plan with Coach David. Hope you've had a good week or so. I actually took a holiday. Did not get a chance to record while I was away, but interesting thing, what I learned when I went away was gratitude. Know what to be thankful for. Don't get caught up in the day-to-day minutia. You will always be able to get through it. So just take a deep breath and move on. Well, maybe another day I will talk about my trip down to Honduras. It was a very interesting trip. Learned a lot. Very eye-opening. But let's get back to why you're listening today. And it's about building your business. And that's why I called this podcast Build with a Plan. It's all about how you can build your business to the success that you want. But you need to do it with a plan. Hey, ironically, that's why we've called it Build with a Plan, Coach David. Anyways, enough about that. So what I want to talk about today is, where are you locating your business right now or in the future? If you're in a startup stage, where do you want your business to be operating out of? I kind of call it in my book, 7 Principles of Business Success, is what is your delivery method? How are people going to receive your product or service? Now, what I mean by that is, I'm talking about, are you a home-based business that's service-oriented so no one comes to your business? Are you a drop ship e-commerce site? Do you actually have a physical retail location? Or do you have a service-based business where you have bricks and mortar? Or do you have a combination of a few of those? So that's what I want to talk about today. Now, it's important to understand where you want to go with your business before you lock long-term into how you are going to be doing your delivery service. Now, for example, if you are a tradesperson and you're starting out as a solopreneur, you don't want to necessarily get a bricks and mortar location because you're never going to be there, right? You may want to rent a storage unit somewhere to keep some of your supplies there, but having a home office with a mobile number and email obviously on your phone or tablet so that you can, stay in contact with your clients. But you want to look at where do you want to build it, because you can't really stay as a home business if you are going to grow to 10 or 15 or more employees. You actually need a physical location. Now that's where knowing where you want to go with your business is a big factor. What steps you need to take to get where you want to go. Now, if you want to be a luxury item, like let's say you're selling a product and you want luxury items, unless they're high-end brand names where people don't necessarily need to touch and feel them, you might want to consider having a physical retail location, not in the basement of your house or in your garage, because you need to evoke, a feeling of prestige and luxury if that's what type of product you're selling. So you have to make sure that your location, exemplifies what it is that you are actually selling. Now, if you're doing bargain basement, giant tiger, dollar store kind of thing, then that's a whole different ballgame. Try to find the cheapest location. Doesn't need to be, super fancy, all that type of stuff. But then again, I would say that's probably not a niche you want to get into, because you already have a saturation of dollar stores, Dollar Tree, Dollarama, those types of stores. It's going to be hard to build into that niche. So again, I want you to sit back and think about, where do you want to go with your business? What type of business it is, and how do you want your customers to perceive you? Now, if you're an online business that drop ships, then knowing where you're drop shipping and having an address that you can ship from is important, because perception is one thing. There's a client of mine that is Canadian based, but he ships to the US primarily, so he needed to have a physical US shipping address so that he could ship it from there. Again, like what it is that you want to do with your business. And if it is higher end, online only, then your online presence and customer experience is super important. You got to make sure that customer journey, evokes the same feeling that you want, that suits the type of product that you're selling. And the customer journey starts from social media, first contact. That's when customer journey starts. It doesn't start when they land on your site and they start going through the shopping process. It happens at the very first time that they connect with you. Whatever social that you're on, that needs to represent the business that you're selling. And then how do you move them from social media to your website? Does it go to the main page? Does it go to a specific landing page associated with your social media marketing? And it should be. And if you're doing paid advertising, that should be an additional landing page that suits exactly what it is the offer was that you were presenting in your paid advertising. And the other reason why you want to have two different landing pages from social and paid is so that you can track it better and make sure you're not feeding the same page from numerous different channels. So again, these are things that I would like you to think about. Okay, let's get back to maybe a landscape business. Okay, typically you're going to have lawnmowers, you're going to have weed trimmers, you're going to have riding lawnmowers and push lawnmowers and leaf blowers. So you're going to need some sort of location to house this. Now, if you're fortunate enough and you're able to purchase a property that has a large shop, then that's where you can do it. But be careful to make sure that the perception is there. Is it a zone for business? Can you put up a sign? Can you get the proper insurance for that location? These are all things you need to look at before deciding where you're going to set up your shop, so to say. Now, you could look at renting in an industrial unit. The rent is usually a little bit cheaper there. But again, it's out of the way. It's usually a lot of, asphalt and no foot traffic. Is that what you want? Or do you want to just rent a storage unit somewhere? There's lots of factors to consider. And how you're going to grow. Again, if you're a landscape and you're just renting storage space, that's great. But where are you doing your office? Is the office at home? And where is your crew going to meet? Are they going to meet at your house, stand in your driveway? Are they going to meet at the parking lot, the storage unit? Or do you need to have an industrial unit that has a couple offices so you could do some staff training, maintenance to the equipment? Is there storage for the fuel and the oils and that type of stuff? All lots of things you need to consider. But this is the main thing I want you to think about. What is your end goal with your business? This is where the build with a plan comes into place. You need to think, what is ultimately you want that business to grow into, and reverse engineer. If you have to start a home, you start a home. Make sure you're insured properly, right? And then what's the next step? And then what's the next step? Those are things I want you to consider, no matter whether you're doing a service, whether you're doing product, retail, luxury, specialty items. Those are all very important things to consider. So I like to call it delivery method. Now, a lot of people don't really spend that much time on it. They kind of just, whatever they do, seat of their pants, sign up where they can, cheap is here, maybe in the neighbor's backyard or whatever it is. You got to make sure that you understand what the perception is to the end client. If they never see where your location is, that's one thing. But if people are driving by, and your place doesn't look very good, and maybe there's the signage isn't quite right, or maybe you don't even have your signage, but you have a trailer that's got a branded trailer, And people will start saying, oh, well, that's where so-and-so is. I would, a little bit shady on where they're actually located or where they're storing their equipment. Again, that's what I want you to consider. It's all about understanding where you want to go and what steps you need to do to make sure you get there. And the perception to the client and the service to the client is utmost important. All right. Hopefully you have learned something from this, and you take a look at where you are and where you want to go as far as where you're going to have your business located, and make a plan to make sure you're able to grow into where you want to go. So we don't do any advertising for this podcast, so please like and share. If you've got anything out of this, even a little nugget of information, please share it, let people know about it, so that we can continue to grow the audience and you can not pay the price that I paid for success. All right, until next time, Coach David out.